But that doesn't mean that the Federal Executive Council is not holding every day. Well, the point we make through this judgment, what the judges are making is this: allow the judges some level of freedom in order to determine their decisions, in order to act without fear. Because the point they make is this: if you open the gateway for any judge to just be picked up by EFCC, you allow DSS to break their houses, you and I appear before those judges every day. You may have a case with your tenant. You may have a case with your wife, God forbid. You may have a case of employment. But when you have some set of people called executive who have power of intimidation over the judges, you won't get a level playing field. Because what they are doing is to ensure that judges make decisions that are in favor of the people who have control over them. So what they are saying is very simple. Give us some breathing space to determine our judgments and our responsibilities without fear. I will read it to you. It's contained in this judgment. That's the point that they are making. If it gets to a level in this country where judges in the Court of Appeal are crying to say we are under threat, we are under blackmail, we are afraid to determine cases according to law, where are we going to in this country? That's anarchy. Is only what it means, therefore, is that only the powerful, only the executive, only governors, only senators, only people who have means to intimidate judges can get judgment. That is not right for a country. Justice is for the common man. Justice should be equal. It should be for everybody, notwithstanding whether you are EFCC, whether you are DSS, or whether you are a sergeant, or whether you are a common Nigerian. Go to that court and get judgment.
Now, I'm reading, Mr. Adegoruwa, sorry to interrupt your thoughts, but then I'm reading here on Premium's Time page that appeal court ruling, a document shows that the NJC cleared the EFCC to probe and prosecute serving judges. There seemed to be some communication between the NJC and the EFCC when the 5 judges who were under scrutiny were being prosecuted by the EFCC. The question is, for the EFCC, they say that this ruling has no basis in law. That's their objection to this particular ruling.
Well, for me, if there is a communication from the National Judicial Council clearing the way for the EFCC to prosecute Justice Nganjiwa, that communication is not reflected in this case. And that will not be the fault of the judges. Judges determine cases based on facts before them. From the pages of this document that I've read since yesterday and I'm still reading now, like I open to you, there is no indication that there was any communication between the NJC and the EFCC clearing Justice Nganjiwa for trial. In fact, that's the basis of the objection. So that may be a matter that is extraneous to this judgment. If there is such a communication, it should have been tendered before the judge. And you can't blame the judges because that is not before them now. Now, on the issue of whether or not the NJC is shielding judges, let me just take time because it's important that you hear what the judges are saying. In this case, he said the question one we then ask is whether this process was followed in this case. Absolutely not. The respondent, without first complaining to the NJC, the body primarily responsible for the discipline of judicial officers who preach their oath of office, proceeded to the court instituting criminal proceedings against the appellant. It is a breach of due process that the respondent will avoid the NJC in the prosecution of acts which principally borders on misconduct of judicial officers perpetrated in the course of their duty. This ought not to be. It is settled and tried that time does not run out for the state in the prosecution of crime. If due investigations are conducted and a case made out, there's no reason precluding the EFCC from making a formal complaint to the NJC and attaching such a report to guide the NJC. A standard procedure has been set for discipline of judicial officers, which should be strictly complied with. Or else, the gates will be open for all sorts of intimidation and threats against judicial officers who refuse to bow to the whims and caprices of those who believe they have authority to also deal with judicial officers. There has to be checks and balances in the conduct of statutory duties bestowed by law by the agency. Look at the point that the justices of the Court of Appeal are making. What they are telling us nakedly here is that we are being intimidated. We are being blackmailed. We can't decide cases according to our conscience. We are afraid. Because gateway has been opened. Any judge who is serving, who delivers a judgment that is contrary to the expectation of those who are in power, can be picked up tomorrow. Why do you think a judge gave an order, ex parte, forfeiting 46 million bank account of Nigerians? He was afraid. He was scared. And I can tell you that authoritatively. He was being intimidated. And that will continue in this country. So the point we make is, look, if any judge lives above his means, by all means catch him. We support the EFCC, and that's why I said when I started, they should not be demoralized. They should appeal this case. They should continue to gather investigations because criminal law has no end. Look, if you commit a crime today and you are protected or you are shielded by the NJC, by the time you retire from office, I can pick you up and still charge you for that same offense. Nothing stopped EFCC 10 years thereafter. Look at what happened in Zamfara State. A judge was accused of collecting a bribe of 200 million. That case was reported to the NJC. That judge was dismissed. After a dismissal, EFCC is charging him to court now. That is the procedure we're asking. Justice Yunusa, who was dismissed by the NJC, is reported in the papers today that the EFCC will charge him to court. That's what they're asking for. Respect the Constitution.